Hello and welcome to An Old Man Watches. And today I will be talking about three different films. This is not the first time that I've discussed multiple movies in a single video, but it's the first time that the films don't share a common linking characteristic, such as having the same leading man or the same central character. Well, I mean, no linking characteristic in this case, other than that they were all in a 50 movie box set called Drive-In Movie Classics, as pictured on your screen. And this new format for this video is a result of two factors. First, that I didn't have that much to say about any one of these films. And second, as a trial of a shorter review structure where I focus very much on the simple question of should you watch this and why, basically. So let's dive in and look at these three alleged classics. The first film is the 1971 thriller The Manipulator. The title character of this film is BJ Lang, a makeup artist from the studio era of Hollywood. Old BJ isn't playing with a full deck. He believes himself to be a film director, ordering around a host of underlings as he films his version of Cyrano de Bergerac. But these underlings exist only in his own mind. When they do answer, it's BJ himself providing their voices. Or at least that's true with one notable exception, because BJ is not entirely alone. He has a leading lady for his film, an actress that he's kidnapped and who he is forcing to play the role of Roxanne. And the film's story arc is to chart the battle of wits and wills between the manipulator and his captive. Now, The Manipulator's big selling point is that it stars Mickey Rooney, the one-time star of the long-running Andy Hardy series of films. Rooney is on screen for pretty much every moment of the film's 80-minute runtime, so the producers certainly got their money's worth from his name cachet. And I'll give him this, he's pretty good as the crazed BJ Lang. Unfortunately, the plot of the film doesn't stretch to anywhere near the runtime. And the whole movie sags pretty badly after about a half an hour or so. Not even Rooney's manic performance can hold your interest indefinitely when the film as a whole has so little else to offer. If you watch the first 10 minutes of The Manipulator, you've pretty much seen everything it has to offer. It does have some fairly nice cinematography and some suitably surreal scenes where we see what BJ thinks is happening, the scenes that are happening in his mind, but these scenes are a case of style over substance, and substance is something that the film sadly lacks. See it only if you're a serious Mickey Rooney fan, basically. Second, we've got the 1975 Dutch film Katie's Passion, or Katie Tipple as it was known in its home country. This is a rather misanthropic tale of an innocent young country woman whose family is forced to come to the city in search of work. Being young and attractive, and in a movie written by a man, there's one particular kind of employment that Katie's soon forced to turn to, and the film charts her efforts to find economic and emotional security in the face of a society that puts very little value on women, particularly women in her line of work. Katie's Passion is clearly of a very different technical standard to the average films in this pack of 50 movies, and including the two that I'm reviewing it with, even taking into account that it has a pretty poor English dub to drag it down. The period costumes and sets are well done, and the film is technically adept, as it should be, with Paul Verhoeven directing and Jan de Bont as the cinematographer. Verhoeven would go on to work extensively with de Bont in the 70s and 80s, and also with one of the male leads from this film, Rutger Hauer. All three worked together again on 1995's Flesh and Blood, which was something of a financial flop. And Hauer and Verhoeven are, of course, well known for their science fiction hits from the 80s and very early 90s. Robocop and Total Recall for Verhoeven, Ladyhawke, Blade Runner for Hauer, while Bont's big hit was 1994's Speed. So some big names ultimately involved in this film. But well made though it is, I don't ultimately think I can recommend Katie's Passion. It's pretty miserable fare, with almost everyone in the movie being petty, violent and cruel. I'd like to think that such a bleak view of humanity would have a small audience, but it's apparently quite a big box office success, particularly in its home country of the Netherlands, so maybe I'm wrong. Finally, we have the 1979 German film Spare Parts, or Fleisch, as it was in the original language. And in this film, newlywed Monica sees her husband Mike dragged off in a mysterious ambulance. She manages to escape, but rather than just keep running, she seeks help to try and find Mike and rescue him from whatever presumably unpleasant fate would otherwise be in store. This was originally made for German television, and it begins reasonably strongly, I think. It's probably at its best, actually, in its middle half hour. I love to see proactive protagonists who make plans and try to execute them, and Monica, along with her primary ally in the film, a trucker named Bill, tickle that fancy of mine quite nicely. I don't even mind that their plan isn't super well thought out and succeeds largely because they get a lot of help from an unexpected ally. They are making this up on the spur of the moment. They are under pressure. They are stressed. It's okay that the plan's not flawless. Just the fact that they tried to take control of the situation gives me a happy feeling. I like to see that kind of get up and go attitude from my protagonists. Unfortunately, the movie does rather lose its way in the final act. It relies much too heavily on contrivance and happenstance, and Monica and Bill lose a fair part of their agency and chutzpah in the process. It's a shame, since halfway through I had high hopes of how the film would turn out. I still didn't mind it, but it wasn't as good as it could have been. So there you go. That's 3 drive-in classics. I'll leave it to you to judge how many of these movies I think deserve the actual term classic. It's certainly not 3. But yes, that's those. Next time, the movie that made Clint Eastwood a big screen star, 1964 spaghetti western, A Fistful of Dollars. But that's next time. Until then, thanks for watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed it.